Hey, hi, how's it going? My name's Afrim. I'm with Shade Studios here at Sundance 2025 with Snapchat here. So I'm just wondering, what is it like? Well, first off, what's it like with working with child actors? What are the challenges?
It's
Sorry, I know
different.
an easy one, right?
It's different. You just, it keeps things fresh. You never know what to expect, but that's fun too. You really just, you really have to roll with the punches. And I'm the type of actor who likes things to change. I don't like to chisel stuff in stone. I like to be surprised. And believe me, you'll continually be surprised if you have a 6-year-old and 8-year-old working with you.
One other thing I should probably mention, this is John Magaro, star of Omaha. I didn't mention that before, which is probably pretty important. What are the challenges of acting when you're in an enclosed space like a car, where you can't use the rest of your body, basically?
I've been doing that. September 5 was a film that just came out. That's in an enclosed space too. This is even more enclosed than a car. It gets intense. It's difficult. You really want to get out of that car. It starts to drive you crazy.
Is the majority of the film in the vehicle?
Good amount.
Okay, so
I don't know minute count, but I'd have to go back and look at that. Yeah.
So how many hours would you say you spent on that in that scene?
I don't want to remember. Too many. Too many days. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. How you doing? How's everything? How you feel today?
30 seconds. Exceptional.
Surreal?
Yes. Surreal. Excited. It's just getting started. You're my third question.
Okay, cool. This is Cole Webley, director of Omaha. One thing I want to ask you. What is, because I read that this is your feature, your debut, correct?
It's my debut,
yes.
yeah.
So what are you not going to do again?
That's such a good question. This is what I'm not going to do on movie 2. I'm not going to do a movie with a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a dog, who, by the way, were incredible, and they're here, and I'm so blessed for them to be in my movie. The next one, I'm going to try one with a bunch of adults sitting around in one room talking.
Okay, and does most of the film take place on the road trip in a car?
Yeah. See, within 5 minutes, 8 minutes of the movie, we're on the road and we don't stop till we get to where we're going.
Okay, so what are the challenges of filming, or even benefits of filming solely in a vehicle?
Well, finding the car was part of finding a casting, my fourth final member of the family, and I looked locally for months and found one and went and negotiated my deal with the guy, and he sold it to me. And to me, the shooting in the car really kept the story compact, and it kept it stripped down to its elements. Who's in the car? How do you feel? Where are we going? What does this car represent for the family?
How did you decide on which car? Was there something about that car specifically?
Yeah, you're gonna see the car, and it's a '91 Corolla Wagoneer.
Oh my God!
And it's rare.
Okay.
And it has racks on the roof, maybe they would go on adventures together. But it's got the softness of a family and the meanness of someone who's not just. I don't know. It's got a little meanness to it, too.
I got
and
you.
a lot of love rust on the back of it.
Love rust. That's a great term. I'm with Paul Myers, DP, on Omaha. So I didn't want to, I just heard her ask you also, and I'm you probably are getting the same questions over and over again. But the challenge of shooting in a car, natural light, how are you handling that?
Oh, man. Well, we definitely made the decision early on that we wanted to do everything for real. Okay. Meaning everything practically. If they're in the car, on the road, moving in these landscapes. There's nothing green screen about it. We just felt like
thank God.
We needed the visuals to feel grounded. There had to be an authenticity to the visuals to tell this story, and that was super important to Cole and I from the very beginning. And so, there's a lot of driving all over the state, and we did spend a lot of time on a process trailer in the car. It was a challenge, but it was definitely worth it.
I notice a lot with modern films. I can immediately tell when something's green screened and it just looks flat.
Yes.
And I'm very happy to hear that this is an on location, no green screen kind of thing going on here.
100%.
Yeah, because it definitely grounds the film.
That was, you're going to see you're going to be at the screening, right?
Yes.
There's just something about this story that there couldn't be anything artificial to take away from the performances of John and the characters. It would have ruined the film. So,
what would you say was the biggest challenge in framing this movie, setting up the lighting, the shots, anything like that?
Well, probably the biggest challenge was, we were shooting with this young cast. Wyatt was 6 years old at the time when we were shooting, so we only had 4 hours a day to shoot with Wyatt. And so, a typical film day is, 8 to 12 hours. Having 4 hours a day meant our time was very limited. So basically going into every setup, I knew that we had to be prepared to shoot 360 degrees. It was like, as soon as they showed up on set, we've got to roll the camera and we got to be willing to keep going. There wasn't time to do big relights, to turn around. And so that was probably the biggest challenge, is like
a little bit of guerrilla action going on.
A lot of planning though beforehand, right? We'd like make the best plan that we could to be able to be ready, that when they came, we could get all the coverage that we needed to in that time.
Hi, lovely to meet you. I'm good, thanks.
This is Molly Bell Wright, star of Omaha, probably the #1 star, right? So I guess the biggest question I have is, what was it like working with John Magaro, for example? Did you learn anything from him?
100%. When we were both in the car, I got to spend so much time with him, so I ended up learning so much from him. And one of the things that I really focused on in the movie was stillness. And John had so much of that, and I tried to bring that into my performance as well. Because Ella is one of the people, she doesn't have to say much, she just says more things behind her eyes and in her expression.
That's really hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not working with anything else but the eyes, you have to give a whole story through those eyes.
Exactly, which is what I worked on.
What would you say was the most fun aspect of making the film?
Wow, that's a good question, but a hard one to answer because lots of it was just amazing. I loved working with creative people, and the people on Omaha was just so wonderful. The movie, everyone put their heart and soul into making it, which made it such a good experience. So I think maybe it was the people for me that I got to work with and spend time with, and I'm so glad now that I can be reunited with all of them again and see them again and celebrate our movie.
You're really good at this. Hi, how you doing? My name is Afrim with Shade Studios, covering Sundance 2025 in collaboration with Snapchat.
Yeah.
I'm here with the writer of Omaha, Robert Machoian.
Machoian. Yeah.
Machoian. Well, I had a 50-50 shot on that one.
Totally fine.
Do you have a story in your life that is basically like the trigger for this film?
Yeah. I was just out of grad school. I had 6 kids. I was adjunct teaching. I was trying to be a good dad. I was trying to feed them. And I listened to this NPR podcast that was dealing with what was going on in Nebraska at the time. And it was not hard to relate to the parents and to the issues that they were dealing with. And it was really me imagining what it would be I was living in Davis, California at the time, and it was like, what would this journey be if I was making the same journey as some of these parents were making? So, and then later, after I wrote the script, I took my 2 kids, Harper and Eli, which were the ages of Ella and Charlie. We drove across the country to Nebraska just to visit, and it was almost verbatim. It was pretty crazy to watch.
Okay.
That's like there was a lot of things that I was like, I was pretty dead on from the creative standpoint.
One other thing, is it challenging to write when you have a majority of the film based solely in a vehicle?
A lot of the time in the cars for me as a parent is how I get one-on-one time with my kids. I take them to the grocery store, I take them to practice, and that's where I get that time. So the vehicle began to be a very important metaphor for the film.
Final question, on the technical side of the writing, are you writing like directions into the script when it's in such a situation like that where you're just in a car? Are you writing like little directions like?
A little bit, but from the writing side of things, I try and write. I'm more focused on the character development, the dialogue, and writing that as rich as possible. Because the next element is the director to come in and attach their vision. And if you get too much screen direction, you're too fixated on exactly how everything going. It almost makes it feel like you're forcing a paint by numbers, and I'm not interested in that. For me, my relationship with Cole, I was like, look, here's the idea that I have, here's the dialogue. If the characters are rich enough, you know who they are. And it's very unique across the entire United States. We couldn't work that out. The Utah Zoo thankfully allowed us to shoot there, and they were really great to work with. But that element, because there's some very specific locations within that zoo that I had written and I had imagined even when I took my kids there, that was probably it. Otherwise, even though Cole made a lot of decisions himself based off of what I wrote, it really I'm like, oftentimes it was better than I had imagined.
So you were actually here in 2020.
Yeah, I was.
Yes. And now you're back in 2025. I
Yeah.
mean, what's that feel like?
It's really exciting. I mean, Sundance is really one of the best places to be as a filmmaker sharing work.